We're joined by Hussain Abdul-Hussain, Research Fellow at the Foundation for the Defence of Democracy. Good to see you, Hussain. Thank you for joining us. So this money will not go to Palestinians in Gaza, but Gazans who are in the West Bank. This will be of some concern to Israel, which is currently battling Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists in the West Bank. Can everyone be sure that the money will go to the right people?
Well, first of all, if it's going to UNRWA, no one knows where it goes after that. We know that a big chunk of staff of UNRWA work for Hamas and many other Palestinian factions, and this has been the case since the agency was founded 75 years ago. The second thing is that it's really interesting to see Qatar hand the money to UNRWA in the West Bank instead of handing it over to the Palestinian Authority. We know that the Palestinian Authority does subsidize healthcare and schooling, and it also provides stipends to many Palestinians. So the fact that Doha would rather give the money to UNRWA but not to the Palestinian Authority is really interesting to me and suggests that, unlike what Doha says, it's not really interested in a two-state solution. It only sponsors and funds Hamas.
To what extent, Hussain, has Qatar managed to paint itself as a kind of champion of the Palestinians, whereas other Arab countries like Egypt, like Jordan, like Saudi Arabia are being accused of not doing enough to help them?
Well, I think, given that Qatar gave the money to UNRWA but not to the Palestinian Authority, it doesn't suggest that Qatar supports all Palestinians. Qatar picks and chooses. It sponsors Hamas. To a lesser extent, it supports Islamic Jihad, which we know is an Iranian militia. So Qatar does not support all Palestinians. It picks and chooses amongst them. It picks favorites. And more often than not, it ends up speaking on behalf of Hamas, like we see during these talks that are taking place, the indirect talks with Israel and Egypt.
And there has been, hasn't there, a lot of financial and political pressure on UNRWA since October 7th. But it does seem to be slowly but surely restoring its reputation and indeed its funding. Most countries have now restored funding to the organisation. Can we imagine that UNRWA will just remain linked to the Palestinian cause indefinitely now?
Well, it has definitely restored its funding. It certainly has not restored its reputation. I think its reputation has been tarnished beyond repair. We all have seen a list of UNRWA staffers either fighting with Hamas or housing Hamas or aiding and abetting Hamas. So I think these images are here to stay. We all know that UNRWA is not a separate entity. It's part and parcel of the Palestinian society, and the Palestinian society has a big chunk of it that are partisans of Hamas. So granted that they've got the money back, and I think countries are thinking if we don't give them the money, maybe there'll be hunger or famine or more poverty. But I don't think these countries are under any illusion that the money they're giving it to an independent agency of the UN.
Hussain Abdul-Hussain at the FTD, thank you.
Thank you.